chance and more chance.
This are not thine elder matriarch, Stacy.
Hello friends, welcome on back. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're having a great day. Today was very, very busy for me. I had quite a busy day, but I hope that this stream finds you well. We're on the kind of the last leg of painting up this Emperor's Spear. And I'm glad you're here. Hey, Co-Crafter, how are you doing? Nice watch streak. Thank you for being here so consistently. I very much appreciate it. All right, let's see. We've got a couple things that we definitely need to prioritize just to get the work going. We're going to start with those. Let's start getting some of this stuff out, ready to go. I want to take care of the two purity seals real fast. So, small, easy things to work on, and then we'll take care of the wax seals as well. But we'll just start out by base coating the paper portions with some light umber. It's a nice neutral brown. It's a good starting place for darker parchment or vellum or whatever these are made of. Doing pretty good. I have finished reading through most of the Crow's playtest packet too. Oh, very cool. Has that been interesting? Okay, so we're gonna wait for that layer to dry. Now I'm gonna paint the seals themselves. We're gonna go with a burgundy, just so it's a slightly different color than just, you know, your typical red. So we're going to do these wax seals slightly differently. I'm pretty sure there's only 2 purity seals on this guy, so we don't have to do more. How about everybody else? Everybody else doing okay? Hope you're having a good start to the week. Sadly, Dolly Parton passed away, which is sad. Just found out about that myself. Yeah, that is sad news. He was a heck of a lady. It's tons and tons of charity work for all kinds of different folk. Genuinely too bad. Yeah, the core mechanics are the same as the draw steel, but the outcomes and options lean more towards the theme of dangerous dungeon crawling, survival horror, instead of cinematic, heroic fantasy. Just oh, that's cool. Yeah, she was an amazing philanthropist. That's look, I don't care who you are. When you're rich, philanthropy's what you should be doing, in my opinion. If you don't choose to do that, that's fine, but I'm still going to judge you for it. You have more money than God, there's no reason for you to keep it. And just make sure you're comfortable, make sure your kids are comfortable, make sure your wife or your spouse or your significant other, whatever they are going to be safe and comfortable. But then what's the point of having all that money if you're not gonna be a superhero about it? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But to each their own, I guess.
A wizard is never late.
Whoa.
Baggins. Nor is he early. He arrives
Precisely what it means to. Precisely indeed. Eric Swinson, how are you, sir? Welcome on in.
A wizard is never late.
Oh my gosh.
Frodo Baggins.
What is go F&Z Hobbies?
Nor is he early.
Holy crud.
He arrives precisely
Double raid.
when he means to.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you all so much for the raids. I very much appreciate it. I hope you're all doing fantastic. Eric, how was the stream? What were you working on? What was today? I hope you're doing well, sir. And F&Z Hobbies, how are you? Welcome on in. Thank you for the stream, for the raid as well. For those of you who may be new here, my name is Ryan. I am a useless wizard. And right now we're painting an Emperor's Children. Or sorry, not Emperor's Children. We're painting an Emperor's Spear. Space Marine. Hey, Lord Yuto, how are you doing? What do you think would be a good contrast for an Iron Hands army? Limbo Dimbo, a good contrast color for Iron Hands army? Well, it depends on what kind of iron you're doing. Is it dirty? Is it fresh? Is it shifted cold? If it's neutral, then just about any color is going to work with that, because just about any color goes with a neutral. I think yellow is a really strong one, which is why there's so much hazard striping on Iron Warriors. I think yellow, I think orange goes well. If you're going with a colder iron, then a warmer color is going to contrast more with that. So again, yellow and orange. As opposed to like green or blue. It really kind of depends. The dirty brown with some blood, you're going for a dirty brown with some blood. Then you could do like a you could dirty brown, so it's warmer, so you could still go like a colder yellow, one that maybe doesn't have as much warmth to it. Maybe a slight green shift to it, and that'll stand out. But you could also start working in things like glowing greens. Like a glowing green would work well on plasma, eye lenses, things like that. Feedback today, trying to catch after travel. Oh, I believe it. I hope the feedback sessions went well. What is going on? Is this thing continually going out of Fiocus? There we go. That's maybe a little bit better. Doing great. Just still making my chapter before I get my order. Oh, I totally understand. Totally understand. Was working on painting my Goliath gang for N60 26. Oh, that's awesome, FNZ. Love to see that. I do need to sit down and start working on some Necromunda. I've been doing enough lore videos on Necromunda lately that I should probably actually do some hobbying with it as well. But those have been a lot of fun. Slowly going through kind of each one of the gang houses and kind of what makes them unique and how they started. That's been a lot of fun. I've been doing that on TikTok. But yeah, so need to sit down and work on my squats. Those are my squats, and I want to do Escher too. Thanks. Stream was mega quiet. I'm just getting started with streaming. Hey, no worries, FNZ Hobbies. It always starts out that way. Working on painting my Goliath game for... Yeah, awesome. My brain also wanted to say N64, right? Yeah. How would you think I am to, like, put this... Okay, so well, it kind of depends on which ones you're going for. If you're doing yellow, then stick with like the hazard stripes, and you can find a lot of Iron Warriors with hazard stripe examples. If you're going with if you're not going to do hazard stripes and stuff like that, then and you're going to go with like green, then places where lenses are, places where there's something that glows. Okay, I like this live. Seen your face talking, washing YouTube miniatures followed. Oh, thank you so much, Ray. But hey, Lance, how are you doing? But Nimbo, I would say it kind of depends on where's appropriate. So if it's a glowy green, then yeah, it should be areas that are going to shed light, plasma coils, lenses, stuff like that, and you can use it there. Now, if you're want to use that kind of glowy green elsewhere, you're going to have to decide for yourself what's going to look good. Now, you could do a bunch of research and see what other people have done, what other Iron Warriors people have painted, how they've painted them, and that could give you some examples. But I'm not going to be able to tell you exactly where to put things, because every model's a little bit different, and what I think looks cool might not be what you think looks cool. So I can give you advice on like which colors to think about using, but ultimately it's your choice on what you think is coolest. What do you think looks best? That's the most important part. We're going to use some burgundy for the seals here. Now, I didn't want to just use red because I've already used red on the knee pad, and I didn't want to use like a green because I thought that was going to blend a little too much into the armor because it's cold on cold. So we're kind of going with a purple, kind of a burgundy type of purple color here for the purity seals, just so they kind of contrast a little bit. But I think I'm losing too much of the burgundy, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for these to dry. I'm going to make a glaze with the burgundy. And I'm gonna paint over what we just did to bring some of that burgundy saturation back in. While still keeping some of the brightness there. So we'll just let that dry, see what that looks like. Okay, let's see. What's everybody else up to? Thinking about getting some Ambot robots from Necromunda and putting the bits on Chaos Realm. Oh, that's a cool idea, Cheddar. I think that's a very cool idea. Ambot models are so cool. I've got a box of those that I need to figure out which gang I want to run those with, or I just need to paint those. They are some cool robots. Are you doing a salamander? I am not doing a salamander. This is an Emperor's Spear. I have not yet done a salamander. I do plan. Well, I haven't done one on stream. I do plan on doing one eventually. Hello, Pear. How are you? Just got into the hobby and finished my first ever mini this weekend. I'm painting sisters. Any tips? That's awesome, Dirty Fun Guy. Tips. Take your time. Well, let's see. For sisters specifically, Yeah, take your time. The sisters have lots of details, so don't get bogged down in all the details. Don't get lost in all of that. There's a lot to cover, so don't stress out about it. If you can't get all the details right now, don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world. You can always work on them later. I would say when you're painting eyes, if the sisters don't have helmets on, when you're painting eyes, I'd only worry about eyes on the most important models. Most models at this distance, when you're looking at them from 3 feet away on the table, and if you're looking at a person that's this tall, and if you're in real life and you're looking at someone who's this tall, they're so far away from you that they're this tall, you're not going to see their eyes very well. So on the regular people, I wouldn't worry about painting the eyes. Maybe on the HQ models. So don't stress yourself out too much about it. And when you're painting, just do the best you can. It is a physical process. It's not physically exhausting. You're not gonna end the day out of breath or anything like that. But learning to manipulate the brush, learning to have that hand-eye coordination that lets you be comfortable in painting, that takes time, that takes repetition. So don't just paint once a week and once or done. Paint a little bit every day or every other day, whatever works better for you, whether that's 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. Paint multiple times a week for at least 15 to 30 minutes, because you want your brain to start developing the hand-eye coordination and the muscle memory and to be able to control your brush. And you're going to do a lot more progress if you do a little bit every day than if you did it for 8 hours straight on a Saturday or something like that. And it's just like running a marathon. It's just like learning to play guitar or piano. You're going to make better progress. Your brain's going to develop those nerve connections and that coordination much better if you do a little bit at a time consistently, as opposed to just a whole bunch on one day and then you let it sit fallow for a week. And that's true for anybody, regardless of what you're painting. It's just getting good at painting, getting food at painting. Yeah, the practicing a lot is going to be helpful, and then really think about what you're doing and why you're doing it. That helpful. So I'm turning the Crux Terminatus box into Chaos Assault 10 minutes. Awesome. Would you class this tabletop plus or higher? I have my first ever commission. I want to do good. Oh God, I don't know. This is definitely higher than just tabletop for me anyway, because I'm trying to do better at lighting. I'm trying to do better at rendering light. So if I was just doing tabletop, I wouldn't bother with a lot of this sharp painting. If I was just painting for the game, or this is me getting into higher for what my skill level is. So I don't think this is tabletop plus. I think this is beyond that for me. Now for other people, this is probably just their tabletop plus, especially if they're better painters than I am. But for me, this is still me learning and figuring out how to make something look shiny without just controlling light and trying to make sure a surface looks shiny. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do here and trying to practice that. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Kind of like cramming for tests. Got to study over time. Yes, exactly, F&Z Hobbies. Painting for 8 hours on Saturday for your tournament, Sunday or whatever, or just painting 8 hours on a Saturday and leaving it until the next week, that's just like cramming for a test. It's not going to work out terribly well. All right, so we're gonna let the purity seals sit there for a little bit. Now the Emperor's Spears have one section of one of their knees that's typically shown as gold. And either as it's shown as gold or it is shown as just plain, just like the rest of the model. Now I kind of want to do a little bit of gold, but it's in a weird spot. Like, I don't know why it's just one knee. There's nothing in the squad markings or anything like that that indicates why it's just one knee. It just is. And maybe I'm missing it. So if anybody knows, if anybody has in-depth knowledge of Emperor's Spear lore that I do not, which is very likely because I don't know that much about them, and you know why one knee is gold and nothing else is, I'd love to know. Love to know why it's like this. But really, everything I'm looking at, just this portion of the knee is gold, and I don't get it. And that's on veterans, that's on regular dudes. So I'm obviously missing something. Putting some crucified guardsmen on the shields, Chaos Warden needs trophies. That is true, and that's a fantastic idea. Coming from a new painter, I've only been at this for 5 months. This is higher than Tabletop Plus. Well, thank you, Pear. I appreciate that. And you know, try out commission painting. It is not for everybody. I figured out that I'm just not. I don't have the mindset for it. I just don't want to do it. I've tried doing it off and on for over 15 years, and it's just not for me. Like, I just don't care enough about other people's models or painting other models for other people to stay focused on it. And I'm a procrastinator by inclination. So, you know, that's not a great combination. Being a perpetual procrastinator and then also just not being terribly interested in painting other people's models. That's not a fantastic combination of attributes for a commission painter. If you're a commission painter, you need the discipline to only select the models that you actually want to paint, regardless of how much money they're paying you, because it doesn't matter. If you pay me $1,000 and I don't want to paint your model, I am going to hate painting your model. Never mind I get $1,000 for it, I'm going to hate painting it, and I'm going to avoid it. Like, that's just how it is for my personality type, which is not great for a commission painter. So if you can do that, fantastic, go for it. All the power to you. I cannot. I have no interest in trying to do that. Now, I've painted for companies, and that's slightly different. For some reason, there's some difference there. I tend to be more open to doing that, but for individual people, I don't know. It's just it's hard for me to feel inspired. I don't know. I wish I had a really good answer. But if you could do commission painting, more power to you. It is something that not a lot of people can do consistently. So if you can, fantastic. Let's see. Well, I'm missing some chat. I apologize. If you guys have anything you want to talk about, or if you have any questions, or if you have miniatures you want to show off, we are link friendly over on the Purple app. Also, we have a Discord that we do a community spotlight in every Friday night. that we're live. So if you have anything you want to show off, feel free to pop it into the Discord. You don't even have to stay in the Discord. You can leave immediately if you prefer. But if you ever want to show anything off, feel free to throw it up and over there. Don't actually throw up in the Discord, but like you can throw up your art in the no, maybe that I'm gonna stop talking. If you want to share your art, you can put it in the Discord, or you can share a link in the chat on Twitch. Happy to have you there. Okay, so I saw somebody had a question. Rocketeer, how looks great so far. How do you decide where the shine goes? I struggle with this. Yes, that is why I'm painting this model. So here's the whole idea behind how I decided to do this. Now, I watched a bunch of videos from Darren Latham multiple years ago on him painting all kinds of different models, and he's insanely good at painting like really dramatic, stylized but very cool looking non-metallic metal. And he does 4 light sources. He paints it from 4 light sources. One this direction, so it's basically so if the way the model the miniature is facing is like, you know, that's like that's forward and backwards, and that's 90 degrees from forward and backwards. He paints it as if the light source is from all 4 sides of 45-degree angles. So there's the light source from that direction. There's one from that direction, one from that direction, one from that direction. So what I do is when I'm looking at the model from straight forward, I rotate it until I'm looking at it from 45 degrees at 45-degree angle. And then I draw a line straight down each one of these surfaces in my brain. And that's where the center of the highlight goes. Now I have to adjust back and forth a little bit, but that's where the center of the highlight goes. And that's because I'm painting this armor as if it's shiny. Now, if I was painting it as if it was dull, then, you know, the center of the light source would still be there, but it wouldn't be as sharp, because a more reflective surface is going to have a sharper final highlight, as opposed to a less reflective surface will have a more diffuse highlight. So, for example, let me see. This Rainbow Warrior that I painted a little while ago, you can see I kind of did the same thing with him. But the highlight is more diffuse because I didn't want his armor to be super shiny appearing. I want it to be kind of shiny, but I didn't want it to be super duper shiny. Whereas with when I painted this this Deathwatch model, I wanted the armor to be pretty darn shiny, so I kept the highlights on the black very narrow. And that helped it appear as if it's kind of a really shiny or glossy black. Whereas if I went more diffuse with it, like maybe with this wolf spear here, I still did the lighting from that angle, from the 45 degrees, but you see how diffuse and how wide the final highlighted? It's not super laser narrow. That indicates that the armor is less shiny. It makes it look less shiny than this armor is. And I'm doing this because I need to practice it. I feel like I need more practice and more control and more understanding of how to paint different levels of reflectivity, how to paint from the light from different angles. And so that's what I've been dedicating a lot of time to. Even when I've been painting something like this this not Titanfall pilot, I still did the same idea of multiple light angles and just tried to honor that a little bit. And you know, that's one of the reasons how I decided where the light was going to go. I decided, okay, light's going to come from this direction, which means it's going to travel down this cylinder. It's going to travel down the cylinder. It's going to hit this toe here. It's going to travel down this cylinder, because cylinders and cones, the light always travels the long axis of a cylinder. Here's an example. Oh, this is you see, this is just a plastic toy that I spray painted gold. But you see how the light always travels the long axis in a bar? In a bar shape? That's just a leg. It travels a long distance. It travels the long axis of the bar of the leg. And same thing with the hand. Same thing with the forearm. And same thing with these types of this type of elbow with it, basically two cylinders bumped up against one another at an angle. The bottom part of the shoulder pad is kind of like a cylinder, and then it goes into more rounded up here. So I did it from this angle, and then I rotated. And I looked at it and I was like, okay, now we're going to do it from this angle. And I'm just visualizing that in my head. And then I rotate it and I did it from this angle. And I did it from this angle. So, you know, I hold the model at that angle and visualize where the highlights are going to go. And then I try painting it. And oftentimes it's wrong. So then I fix it. And I have to fix it on the fly. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with fixing it on the fly. Does that make sense at all? I know it went all over the place there, but I hope that makes even a small amount of sense. Where I know I'm really far behind. I'm so sorry, everyone. I get distracted sometimes. How much time do you have in this model? Oh, good Lord. Couple weeks, so I've only been painting this on stream for the most part, so probably 12 to 15 hours at this point. It wasn't supposed to take that long, but I decided to do more than I was planning on to begin with. What do you think the best Necrogang lore-wise, and which is the most underrated? Ooh, that's a good question, Neo. I don't know. Let's see. Crazy Good Mini. Oh, thank you so much. Which one's the best? I think the Van Saar are actually have some of the best, the most interesting lore. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the Escher, I love the Squats. The Escher just because they're awesome. The Squats because, I mean, they're dwarves, they're space dwarves who have lived on Necromunda for thousands of years. But the Van Saar are really interesting because they are effectively the descendants of humans that left Earth during the first wave of humanity leaving Earth. So they left Earth on a ship called the Van Saar, and this is during the golden age of technology, prior to the dark age of technology, prior to Old Night, prior to all of that. We're talking M10. We're talking 30,000 to 35,000 years before the present time in Warhammer 40,000. That's when they left Earth. They got caught up in a warp storm, which wasn't terribly common at that time. The warp was very quiet, but they got caught up in some kind of warp storm. They were on their way to the planet that would later become Necromunda. They were on their way to that planet already. And they got dumped out 30,000 years later and crashed on what was now known as Necromunda. So their ship, the Van Saar, is out in the wastes, separated from all the hives. The House Van Saar are either ash waste nomads who came across the wreckage and found out what was inside of it, or it's the original crew or members of the original crew and Ash Raiders who worked together and built up House Van Saar. And now they're like the technology they have is in a lot of ways really advanced. There's a reason why they're so good at finding archaeotech. they have a damaged STC in the inside of the Vansar. Now they can't use it to its full extent because it's damaged. It's washing the entire wreck in massive amounts of radiation. But they also can't fully use it because then the Mechanicus would know what they have. And there's nothing that would protect them from that. So they're very careful, but they're from an like the oldest members. Well, no, they're at least a couple hundred years old. I think that's the most interesting because they're just from a completely different era. Now the modern members of House Vansar probably aren't aware of all that, but the House Vansar has the most interesting start of a house, in my opinion. I don't know. Tips for gore. I'm making a Brutalis Crusher Termagant. Just got Uhu, but I'm worried about color. I'm building my first army right now. Oh, very cool. So Uhu glue, you can definitely either mix like Blood for the Blood God or something like that into it to get that kind of, or some other clear like contrast paint to dye it, or you can add the Uhu glue ribs and then just paint over them. Now be very careful. Uhu glue is fragile, so keep that in mind. Uhu glue is not, when you stretch it, those will eventually break because someone's going to breathe on them wrong and they're going to get brittle over time. So just be aware of that. Now, if we're talking about doing blood spatter, then my recommendation would be getting an older brush or even a toothbrush and add some Blood for the Blood God to this and just flick it onto the model. There's a couple of different ways that you can flick it. You can flick it more gently, or you can flick it with your finger and just have it flick onto the model to get that spray pattern. And try it on a couple things first. Don't put it on the model without trying it. Try it on the back of a plastic spoon or something like that before you try it all by itself, because the last thing I want you to do is flick too much and it's got too much paint on it and now too much of it's covered in blood or gore, and that's going to ruin the effect for you. Practice it on some like plastic utensils or something like that before you do anything on an actual model, and that goes for a lot of stuff. When you're priming, make sure you test if you're priming with a new primer, make sure you test the primer on something before you put it on a model, because the last thing you want to do is ruin a model you've spent hours converting and painting, only to like flood it with too much primer. That's the worst. That's happened to me a couple times. I've used bad primer and it ended up just flooding the model and being too tough to strip. So at that point, I just like, well, guess these are Chaos Spawn now. Or they're body markers or something, because I can't use them for a regular model. So just test. Try things. Don't just go balls to the wall without any testing. You want to be cautious sometimes. Especially when you're new. When you've had more experience, then you can make a better judgment call on whether you're gonna go crazy with something or not. But when you're just starting, really honestly test. I know I'm probably missing more. I apologize. I'm just trying to make some progress here too. Let's see. Got a new job. Oh, very cool. Feeling objective. That's awesome. Yes, Blood Spider as well. I'm doing a Carcharodon army. Oh, that's awesome. Is Kronos? That's really cool. Have fun with that. Love to see what you're doing there. Thoughts on Night Lords? They're my favorite legion. No, I think the Night Lords are pretty cool. They're pretty terrifying. Kurz is a little bitch. It's like, I can't get over the nightmares. I'm not being serious. Like, he was broken so long, and just the amount of depression and psychic torture that his visions were giving him. I understand why he went just all nihilist. He was already pretty darn brutal, so you could kind of assume that he was gonna break in a pretty significant way. And I genuinely feel bad for him, just like I do for Angeron and Mortarion. They just got absolutely shafted by their circumstance growing up. They just genuinely got sent to absolutely horrific worlds, whereas, you know, most of the Primarchs who didn't go crazy had fairly decent upbringings. I mean, certainly not lack of challenge. They weren't easy by any means, but they weren't enslaved and turned into like a gladiator, and they weren't enslaved by you know, and turned into some kind of slave labor at the base of these toxic mountains. You know, they didn't do all that stuff. Let's see. That's what I do, yeah. Just opened NYC's first creator space dedicated to Gunpla, Warhammer cosplay and minis. Oh, Brooklyn, that's cool! I'm sorry I didn't see that comment before, but Brooklyn Bills, that's awesome. I wish I wasn't on the other side of the country. How deep is Warhammer lore? IV unit, deep. Warhammer lore is very deep. Very, 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 very deep, because it is 87, so it is 39 years old. Yeah, roughly 39 years old. Lots of books, lots of games, lots of source books. It's a couple of pics. Oh, cool. F&Z, thanks. I'll have to see if I can access those later. Hey, Embeddis, how are you doing? So, feeling objective, how's the new job? When does that start? I reflections were real light, sick as... Oh, thank you so much. Tips for gore. Thoughts on Night Lords, Blood Splatter, new giant. Good evening, hope you're well. Thanks, you embed us. Any tips on painting the lightning on Night Lords? I'm scared it's going to ruin your minis. So there's a couple things you can do to help with things like lightning. I'm just going to use this as an example. Ignore the mini on top. There's a couple different things that you can do. Mostly you're going to start. This is the wrong color, but you're gonna start darker, and then you can do some slightly thicker lines. They don't have to be very thick, but create some branches. And don't go crazy with this, okay? Don't go super crazy with this. You do not need to have lightning going all up and down the models. Generally, you just want most often, I think most people, especially when they're starting out, you know, later on you can go all over the place, but start out a little bit more conservative with how much lightning you're doing. And then once you've kind of got your base lightning there, start looking for where the intersections of the lightning is, where the base of the lightning is, and also where the lightning kind of changes direction a little bit. And if you mess up, that's okay. You just go back in and paint back over it. So I messed up there. I misapplied. because I didn't put too many actual intersections in here, so I'm gonna, wherever the lightning elbows out a little bit, I'm going to put a little bit of brightness there. And then we can go in with our really near white or white. And you can do this with any set of colors. The colors I'm using right now are not important. You could do this with yellows, you could do this with orange, you could do this with whites, grays, you could do this with blues. I'm doing this with some gray blues at the moment. But see 3 different layers, 3 different paints, and you can kind of already see kind of a lightning pattern there. And you can expand on this. You know, you can say, okay, well, I want, you know, maybe I want this to go off to the side a little bit more and work up. And you can expand on this, and you can do other lightning like over here, and just do a couple. We're not going super crazy or anything. And if you decide you want, you know, shiny, some of the bright lightning at the very tips, that's fine too. Nothing wrong with that. Kind of depends on how you want that to appear. Let's see. Any tips on painting the lightning on top? So there's some ideas. I hope that's helpful. No, it's not perfect, but I hope that's helpful with some lightning. Just keep it small. Don't, you don't need lightning strikes that crawling all the way up. You know, have it at the ends of the, the ends of the boots, and maybe out from the knees or something like that. Just have some smaller things. It's going to be easier to paint. It's going to be less overwhelming. It's going to make it a little bit easier to read as lightning, as opposed to if you did, lightning that traveled from here all the way up the side and up into the back. That can be very difficult. They can end up just looking like a random painted line. So there's a lot less is more in a little bit in this case. Your work is phenomenal. I appreciate that. We'll be doing the same thing here at Workshop for Dioramas, free weekly events. That's awesome. Second winter of September car sales. Okay, that's awesome, Feeling Objective. Best of luck with that. Is there any lore update with the new edition of Munda? How the... around at the end... Okay, so I have... admission time. I have yet to read through the entire campaign. So I don't even know in the old edition... in the campaign how he's beaten. I have not gotten that far. I've been slowly digesting the campaign over a little bit. So I have not read that far yet, so I don't have an answer for you. What I've read so far has been crazy, and I've been loving it, but I just haven't finished it. I'm reading the new books. I'm reading multiple 40k books, or listening to multiple 40k books. I'm going through the Beast Arises series right now. I just finished book 6 of that. I'm also reading several a bunch of fantasy short stories just to help my mind unravel from work. So I've been reading a ton, and part of it has been Necromunda. I cannot wait to paint the big bad in him. He's such a cool model, and the fact that he's like from before the Imperium is just, I cannot wait to get to more of that lore. Also, what brushes to use? They load so well. So I rotate brushes quite a bit because I want to try them all. I picked up this Vallejo number 3, and it's non-sable. It's their pro modeler. It's okay. It's not stiff enough for me. It's got a little too much flex in it, but it's got a really good tip, and it snaps back to the tip pretty darn well. It is much better than GW's typical brushes. Of course, it was also $15, so I'd frankly rather buy a normal sable brush from like Game Envy or Monument Hobbies for $15. But I wanted to try them out. Now, this is a Foxbite number 2 Kolinsky Sable, and it's not been bad. I bought a set of 3 of these, and I'm trying them out. They're not bad. They've got a decent belly to them, but like a huge amount of the painting that I do, especially for gaming minis, is just the dirt cheap Langner and nickel golden Taklon synthetic brushes. I get a pack of 140 of these for like $40 on Amazon, and they've got sizes 1 through 6. This is a size 6. I typically use size 4, 5, and 6. The rest of them I use for classes. But for my painting, I use like 90% of my painting for tabletop stuff is with this, because it's got a good tip, it's stiff, and it's cheap. When I'm doing higher level stuff, I'll use sables for either the last 5%, or I'll use sables for most of it. Does that answer your question? Oh, we're gonna get more. Oh, fantastic. Let's see. Wow, thanks. I struggle with keeping my brushes in good condition, so I was worried, but thank you so much. Yeah, you're very welcome, Milk. Yeah, brushes, but keep in mind, paint and brushes are here to be used. Okay? You should not be, do not be afraid of not using them. Or don't be afraid of using them. They are here to be used. Okay, I'm gonna have our break on snooze here. Hi, I was wondering, why is there a Blood Angel on Necromunda? We don't know. We don't know who he is really. It's suspected that he's a Blood Angel, but I don't think it's actually written out that he is anywhere. But if it is, that we still don't know why he's there. Now, there are Space Marines on Necromunda. The Hive Primus, the main hive that the game takes place in, has an Imperial Fist chapter house at the very top. So Space Marines exist on Necromunda. They actually, some of them even live on Necromunda and use Necromunda as a recruiting ground for the Imperial Fist Space Marine chapter. Why is this supposed Blood Angel here? We don't know. At least I haven't found out a good answer. Have you played the game Necromunda Hired Gun? I have. And it was a lot of fun if you like games like Doom. Because that's what it is. It's a Doom-like. It's not like you're playing Doom. It's Doom on Necromunda. That's what you're doing. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a lot of fun. The environment, all the environmental design is incredible. The world building is really good. There's so much in Hired Gun that is really, really nice, but I'm not a big Doom-like player. I don't generally enjoy that style of game. So I had a hard time getting into Hired Gun, despite how incredibly gorgeous it is. Darktide is a little bit better for me. It's still very Doom-like, but at least I've got other players with me, and there's some fun banter and interaction between the players there. That's less Doom-like, but it's still there. So I can bounce off those pretty easy, or I can get in and enjoy them for a little bit, and it was just like, yeah, I'm gonna go play Rogue Trader again, or Baldur's Gate 3 or something like that. Necromunda Underhive Wars, the turn-based Necromunda game, I adored. I loved that, and I'm so sad that it just was completely abandoned. It just did not have a good player base. The UI was not great. The game design was not great. They could have improved a lot more and made a lot of things more relatable or more easy to understand. But once you got a hang of it, I loved Underhive Wars. It was awesome. How long have I been painting miniatures? About 26, 27 years, but I've only been trying to get really good at painting miniatures since 2018. So just the last 8 years or so. And I am moving slow. I'm one of those people that I have to beat my head against something for a long time in order for it to really start to take hold. There are multiple people, including Dan Dougal, a bunch of people that have surpassed me. Hoodguard on TikTok, he's completely surpassed me in much less time. Of course, he's also just he's an incredibly gifted individual, very disciplined and incredibly intelligent, whereas I am smart in my own way and barely disciplined at all. So, if you want to know what the key is, discipline's pretty important. I have done commission painting. I do not, because I can't stand it. I don't care enough about other models for other people to keep my interest up, and that is not a ding against other people. It's just my brain doesn't want to care about other people's models enough for me to work on other people's models, because I don't get to keep this model. It's not my model. It's someone else's, and that doesn't do right for me. Now, when I've painted for companies, that is for some reason different, and I don't know why, because I can use both of them as fodder for my for Instagram and stuff like that. I can show that stuff off either way, but one of them's for an individual, one of them's for a company, and I don't know what the difference is, but I don't mind painting for companies. I don't enjoy painting for individuals. I don't get it. It definitely means I'm never going to get to paint any of George R. R. Martin's stuff, which is unfortunate, but I was never going to be able to paint for him anyway. I'm not that good. We've got 2.5 minutes before break. About good comparison. I found it a bit clunky, but still fun. Yeah, no, they're both of those games are definitely fun, but one I had a lot more fun with than the other. Didn't Rogue Trader get an expansion of some sort? Yes, just recently they did just get an expansion. What was it? I have it, but I can't remember what it was. Why can't I remember what it was? Rogue Trader. Yeah, the Infinite Museum. That came out in June. Then before that was the Lex Imperialis. Yeah, they bring Necrons in the Infinite Museum. I interact with Trazyn. tabletop, yeah, I started playing Warhammer Warhammer 40K in 5th edition, played it through 5th edition, 6th edition, and then stopped playing 40K in 7th and moved to smaller scale games like early Age of Sigmar, and then eventually Warcry and Necromunda, and then smaller scale indie games. All right, everybody, we've got 45 seconds before a scheduled break starts, so we are going to take a 3 to 5 minute break at that time. I will have some music going, but I will have a Be Right Back screen up, so you're not going to miss any work. You're not going to miss any painting or anything. You're not going to miss answers to any questions. So enjoy the music. And I definitely recommend you take some time to stand up, walk around, get some water, use the little wizard's room. That's what I'm going to do. And we'll be back in just a few minutes. Alright, we are back. Okay. Hope everybody's still doing okay. Thank you also for so many of the questions. I apologize it took me so long to get to a lot of them, but glad to have you here and asking questions either way. We've done a little bit of the gold on the shoulder, on the knee pad there. We've done an okay job with the purity seals. I do need to work on the gun. Now, do we have artwork of the Emperor Spears? With their pew-pews. Pretty sure they're all black. Oh my god. Yeah, the guns appear to be black. Yeah, black with sometimes some bolt gun or straight up metal, but primarily black. Yeah, black and metal. Let's see. Let's see. Hey, Savage Harks, how are you? Savage's Harks, how are you doing? I was looking great. Oh, thank you so much. I think there's an audio problem. I'm hearing the ads over Useless Wizard. What ads? That's better. Okay, cool. Best sandwich. 3, 2, 1, go. Ooh, best sandwich. You know, I'm pretty partial to a caprese sandwich. So, nice white crusty bread with thick slices of tomato, thick slices of mozzarella, and then it drizzled with a balsamic glaze, so it doesn't. Balsamic vinegars work good too, but it drips everywhere. Whereas a balsamic glaze is thicker; it's been reduced, so it stays on the sandwich better and doesn't soak into the bread quite as much. And then basil, fresh basil, just on a little crusty loaf. Oh, it's so good! It is delicious. What type of light do you used? Are we talking about like the actual lights that I'm using? These are just normal can lights with very bright bulbs. So the bulbs are LED bulbs. They are 800, either 800 or 1600 lumens. They're very bright, and the color temperature is daylight balanced, which is 5,000 Kelvin, and the CRI is over 90%, which means the color accuracy of the light is very, very high. Like the armor shine. Thank you so much. Played the Speed Freak orcs. How do the orcs use necrotech? Does it become Gosweb? I mean, maybe. It depends on what they think. I assume that they kind of tear it apart and use it because they're all idiot savants. Like, especially the mechs, the orc mechs. They don't actually understand what they're doing at like an intellectual level. They're doing it because they've got the genetic knowledge to do it. So they just like, oh, I just know how to do this. But what I'm using on the camera is a Sony a6400. So I've got a mirrorless camera that I saved up for several years to buy. Okay, we need to work on the gun. So most of the gun is black, and so we'll use just straight up black for most of it. Now we'll certainly pick out areas that are supposed to be
A wizard is never late.
metal,
Baggage.
steel.
Nor is he early. He arrives
Precisely what it means to. Dong Chunky Minis, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome on in. How's it going? How was your stream? What'd you do? What were you working on? Welcome on in. Thank you for the raid. For anybody who's new here, my name is Useless Wizard, otherwise known as Ryan. I am the Wizard of Useless Magic. And before that, I was kicked out of the Wizard School of Magic. They didn't want me to teach there anymore because I'm a useless wizard, so they sent me down here to the Great Library of Magic, where I now watch over the library, keep students and visitors such as yourselves company, and try to keep you out of trouble in the library while also making it an interesting stay, a nice place to relax. Do watch out for the book mimics. They do tend to bite. Most of them aren't big enough to really hurt you, but you know, a bite's a bite. And let's not talk about the paper cuts that a book mimic can give you. It's just not any kinds of fun. If anybody has any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. We answer lots of questions about painting miniatures, about Warhammer lore, especially Necromunda lore. If you've ever had the joy of reading or participating in the world of Necromunda, or if you want to know more about it, please don't hesitate to ask. I've been making multiple Necromunda lore videos on TikTok over the last few weeks with a new edition, and happy to answer questions. The Miriam's looking really good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Aw. We were painting a Legion of the Damned guys. Kit Bash for murdering Kill Team. Oh, that's such a cool idea. I love the Legion of the Damned. I genuinely, like, on one hand, I kind of hope they answer who they are definitively, but on the other hand, I kind of like the fact that it's a mystery. I have a pet, a kind of a pet theory with of who they are, but we just don't have any truly like definitive, yes, this is absolutely who they are, and that's sad, but it also makes them interesting. Legion of the Damned should remain mystery. Too many questions are being answered. It kills the fun. I definitely partially agree with that. 100%. I think a lot of questions are being answered, and there are pluses and minuses to that. I think they could answer part of who the Legion of the Damned are, but I don't want them to like definitively say this is who all the Legion of the Damned are. I think that would be too far, in my opinion. I think that'd be too much. What sorts of paints I'm using? Primarily, I am primarily using Pro Acryl, but Pro Acryl is not the only set of paints that I use. They just tend to be the most common because I really like them. I like their consistency. I like the way they flow. So yeah, I tend to use a lot of Pro Acryl. I'm going to start with the black and start highlighting, edge highlighting with the dark gray. We'll see how that ends up looking. Hey Lathan, how are you doing? We are working on an Emperor's Spear. We're towards the end of him, other than his head. We still got to work on his head, but trying to get most everything else squared away. Y'all watch the final of the Miniature Masters? If you haven't watched Miniature Masters and you're interested at all in higher level miniature painting, or even just understanding kind of the thought process and what goes on with judges and things like that, I cannot recommend the show enough. The Squidmart team did an incredible job with Miniature Masters, in my opinion. And you can even see AC Miniatures on there, who is a Twitch streamer from England. He is an incredible painter, one of the few that was selected for the first season of Miniature Masters. And I think, in my opinion, Miniature Masters was well worth a watch. Because they were incredibly talented and hardworking artists. You can also see Big Dino Paints, Trent, here on Twitch from Australia. Are there any Space Marines on Necromunda, or was the last time? No. Yes, Quentin, there are Space Marines on Necromunda. Hive Primus actually has an Imperial Fists chapter house at the very top of it. So there is an Imperial Fist chapter house on Necromunda in Hive Primus. Now that doesn't mean they go down into the Hive, because they don't need to. Like, why would they? They're Space Marines. They're just there to recruit for the Legion. It's a recruitment world. That's it. So they have no reason to do anything else. I don't know, TikTok. I don't understand why you think I'm. TikTok's so silly sometimes. Oh my goodness. Where is... Where is my dark... Where's my blue black? Where's my blue black? Where'd it go? Come on, give me my blue black. Where'd you go? I need you. That's just dark blue. Where's blue black? Did I only... No, I've got multiple bottles of it. What am I thinking? Got multiple bottles of it. Where are they? I'm so sorry, everybody. Give me a second. Dark Sea. Again, that's close. There we go. Sorry. Finding color you had a moment ago. Exactly. Like, I know I set it down somewhere. Where did I set it down? Let's see. Watch. How would you paint the whole other side of the gun without mistakes or to even reach everywhere? You won't reach everywhere. You're just not going to. So areas that you're not going to be able to reach, you just say they're in shadow. Like, you can't reach down in here and paint that metal because no one's ever going to see that. So why would you paint it? If that's going to bother you and you do need to paint it, then just don't glue the gun on. Paint it, like put it on a paper clip or something, paint it separately and then glue it on afterwards. But having unpainted areas of a gun that I'm never going to see does not bother me at all. So I just don't bother to paint it. Like, it's a waste of my time. I have better uses of my time than to paint something no one will ever see. But I understand some people have, compunctions about that. They've got, they maybe have some form of OCD or something like that, or it's just, that's just the way they best function. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to look down on that. But I do not have that compunction, so I do not feel bound by it. Other people may be bound by it, and that is A-okay. It is, in fact, impressive. It is impressive dedication to the craft for some people to paint the inside of a tank and then glue the tank shut. That is incredible dedication to, to your craft, and that's a level of dedication I'm simply not interested in replicating. So I give honor where honor is due, and cede the stage to those who truly dedicate themselves to that. That's a-okay. It's just not something I am absolutely ever interested in doing. I hope that makes sense. Get this Picatinny rail equivalent here. Let's see. Now I need more of this blue for the metallic. So now we're coming in here and we're grabbing the areas that are supposed to read as metallic, and I am just going to be doing some general non-metallic work here the way that I typically approach it. And this is not how everybody approaches it, and that's fine. Everybody's got a slightly different way how they think about metallics and how they should appear. And once you've played around with it a little bit and you've kind of established your own understanding of it, you'll be able to play around with it and make your own decisions creatively and things like that. So, you know, there's never one way to do it. There's certainly the more photorealistic way of doing it, which often looks good, but is sometimes less entertaining, less cool looking, in my opinion. But it can be the most realistic, and you know, some people really want to do that, and that's fine. Other people like Flameon, and other people like that have a more stylized way that they approach non-metallic metal, and that is also awesome. I tend to be on the little bit more of a stylized because my skill level isn't, in my opinion, high enough to make it more photorealistic, and I'm really not sure I want it to be more photorealistic. I kind of like the stylized look of it, but you get to make that decision as you practice and as you play around with it. Not painting tabletop non-metallic metal, or at least starting people down the road of the beginnings of tabletop non-metallic, is one of the classes that I teach at conventions, and it's a blast. Just helping people walk through the fundamentals of what makes something look metallic versus not metallic, and shiny versus non-shiny, is a lot of fun. And if anybody ever is curious about that, feel free to ask. I freely share information. I don't say, oh, take my class. You know, you are welcome to take my class if I'm ever at a convention you're at, but I don't gatekeep the information. The classes are for one-on-one time. That's why you're paying for a class. The information should be made available regardless. So I'm happy to explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, or explain the kind of the basics of why non-metallic metal works, in my opinion, how it works. I'm happy to answer those questions regardless. What's the thing on his head? Sorry, I can't stop looking at what thing on his head? Like over here? That's an earphone and microphone. It's his headset. It's his comms headset. Is that what you're talking about, or are you talking about back here too? Because they've got a strand. I don't see a strand anywhere. He doesn't have any braids or anything like that. All I see is his hair, a growly looking face, and his headset. I don't see a strand or anything. Are these GW Citadel or another brand? Oh, the paints? The paints are Procro, Monument Hobbies. But GW and just about every paint line has similar gray blues that you could use for steel. I tend to use gray blues for steel because I think it looks like steel, even though realistically the only reason steel has a blue tint is either because it is chemically treated through heat and other processes, or it's reflecting the sky. Well, like gunmetal blue is a blued steel, so it has been treated in such a way that causes it to shift blue through a heating process. But perfectly like reflective steel, that reflects the ground, that reflects the sky, and the sky's usually a blue if it's got an oxygen nitrogen atmosphere that is breathable for humans. It's typically blue. And so metal tends to reflect the sky. Okay, so let's get this out. Oop, I'm off camera. Sorry. Do I not see it going across the face? That's not a strand. That's like a I don't know what that is. It's probably, well, it looks like it's going into his hair, so it might be a scar, or it might just be it might be a modeling issue or a casting issue, but it also looks kind of like a wrinkle in his forehead, which is probably how I'll treat it. Yeah, if you're talking about this right up here, I'm just going to treat that as like a wrinkle in his forehead, and then we'll just paint over the rest of it. Because I don't know what it's supposed to be. I don't think it's supposed to be a scar. I don't think it's... I could be wrong. But if it's a scar, I think they would have made it more obvious, because they typically handle scars in a pretty obvious manner. That just looks more like a cast issue. Like an issue with, like, the plastic didn't get there fast enough, or it came in two different waves and slightly cooled in between. It's going in the air around his collar. Well, there's a hair there, but I don't see anything in the screen that shows it. Yeah, there is a hair there. Let's grab... Okay, can't use that. Still there? I don't see it there anymore. Yeah, I think it's gone. We'll keep an eye out for it. Yeah, sorry, I didn't see it at all. It was pretty it's not terribly obvious. All right, let's keep working on the metallics on the gun, the metallics on the bang bang. And we're not going for super crazy non-metallic metal here. Just not terribly interested in spending another 15 hours on this guy. We'll make it look metallic enough. Just like his armor. Doesn't need to be perfect non-metallic metal by any means. Just needs to look enough. What kind of music do y'all listen to when you're, or what do you listen to when you're when you're painting. I either have a like a podcast or an audio book or something. That's usually what I have going when I'm, or a YouTube video. I don't listen to a ton of music consistently. Every now and then I'll get a bee in my bonnet and I'll just spend days just listening to all kinds of different music. But that's not super consistent for me. It's really weird. So I'll like get super into it and even get like emotional with the music and everything. But then sometimes it'll just be like, yeah, I'm tired of this. I don't want to listen to this anymore. So I don't typically have music going during the stream. I found that too many of the streams I was getting annoyed by the music rather than relaxed by it. So I was just like, yeah, we're just gonna find something other than music to play. So I've got my fireplace in the background. Now this is important with non-metallic metal. It's important that you get other areas that are going to catch light. If you do not get those, it's not going to look like metallic. Okay? So if I did not get this down here with that, and if I didn't do these edges, it would not look like it's metallic at all. Even close. It would look like streaky blue. But if you add in those types of bounce reflections, it helps the whole thing starts to kind of snap into place as appearing metallic. It's obviously not metallic because it's just regular paint, but you are working on selling the optical illusion. And that's all we're doing with non-metallic metals is you are creating an optical illusion. That's it. That's all you're doing. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be a perfect or really good optical illusion. It just needs to be enough for the human eye to read this surface as shiny versus another surface. Right? So look at that barrel here. That to my eyes at least, that looks shiny compared to the rest of the gun and other sections on the model. That looks much more highly polished. Levi, this is an Emperor's Spear. I listen to shows, YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, movies. Nice, Savage. Building my salamanders right now. Nice, Spider. Try listening to a movie or series you've seen already. That's a good idea. But I can't do that during streaming because then I can get like copyright claimed. So I can't just have on shows or things like that very easily, not without risking legal consequences, which I'm not terribly interested in risking. But like when I'm just streaming, like when I'm painting by myself, sometimes I'll do exactly that. You know, my favorite movie, I've got a couple movies that are my favorite, just turn on and then turn my brain off. Hunt for Red October. I can watch that for hours on end or have that in the background for hours on end and not get tired of it at all. That one, and then Master and Commander. I can have those on for most of the day and just not even bat an eye. So if I ever need something on and I need a movie on or something, I'll put one of those on. Oh, Clue is so good. Master and Commander, I love that one. Yeah. Now, see, the reason for Master and Commander is because I've read all of the books. All of the Patrick O'Brian books of the Aubrey Maturin series. I have them all on audio. I've read them all. And I regularly just put those on when I don't have a series that I'm working on. If I just want to go back to something that I'm very familiar with, I'll go back to Aubrey Matron immediately. John Carpenter's The Thing is really good as well. Man, I haven't seen Clue in forever. I need to watch that again. That's a movie I need to get for my physical media library. I've been building my physical media library up again. Clue is one of the movies I need to get for that. Absolutely. Do you see how shiny that metal looks now? It looks shiny. Shiny, shiny. Sometimes put Treasure Planet or Atlantis Lost Empire or something. Man, I was looking at buying physical versions of both of those, and I'm gonna pick them up, but brother, some of the editions that are like available on Amazon or elsewhere for Atlantis is like, it was like $150. It was just like, what the frack? And there's no way. So I gotta wait for some more normal versions to become available, because I'm not paying that. As good as Atlantis is, I ain't paying that. Let's see. But oh god, Treasure Planet's it was so underrated, and apparently it got kind of torpedoed or screwed over by Disney, because they released it at like a bad time because they didn't like the animation style. Dude, that was peak animation. That was peak. What are they talking about? Atlantis and Treasure Planet were peak animation. Those were so good. They're planning on making a new Treasure Planet anime series, like so many others. Yeah, but then it fell through. And did they turn that into the second movie? No, that was Atlantis. They were gonna do an Atlantis animated show, and that fell through. So they turned that into the second movie. I didn't know they were gonna do that with Treasure Planet. I don't know. I think Treasure Planet would have been cool as an animated series, but I think it would have also just been kind of like a letdown. Because the idea of, like, the cool thing about Treasure Planet was it was like retelling of Treasure Island, with a really cool twist, and you don't really need to go very beyond that. I would have been okay with them just leaving it there. They didn't. I both bought on Blu-ray and called it a day, and they revealed the Silver was the villain. Yeah. No, I need to watch those again. I've got Disney Plus, or I had Disney Plus. I need to reactivate it. Now, I hope that they might be available there just to watch again. They revealed in the opening. Yeah, I can see that, but that's like saying that telling people who watch The Passion of the Christ that Jesus dies at the end. It's like saying they ruined the plot. Like, how old is Treasure Planet? It's not, and it might be reintroducing it to a whole different generation. I totally get that. I totally get that. And they kind of failed at that, but I don't know. I feel like revealing that Long John Silver's the bad guy is kind of not really ruining anything, but I could be wrong. Star Wars series are fun watches for Disney Plus. They are. At the time, but nowadays, yeah, I'm still reading the book. You spoiled it. Brother, it's at the beginning of the New Testament. It's not even at the end. Treasure Island was written in 1881. Thank you, Levi. Yeah, see, look at that. They're 150 years old. Oh, Mid Treasure Island? Brother, you've had 150 years. And you have 150 years. You have the classic 1970s version of Treasure Island that established this as our pirate language, like that, the har, like that movie established that trope. You've got the greatest Muppet movie ever made, Muppet Treasure Island. They have Treasure Planet. What do you mean you had no idea? If you watched Black Flag, that's the prequel to Treasure Island. There's so much. There's so many clues. That is his comms gear. It's his headset. Anything Muppets speak, absolutely. Muppet Treasure Island, the best, not only in my opinion, one of the best Muppet movies. That and Christmas Carol, the two peak Muppet movies, in my opinion. But also one of the best renditions of Treasure Island. Period. Yeah, look at that gun. Oh, that looks cool. Those movies deserve a live action remake. I like our flag. It means death. Yeah, I don't know if they need to remake them. Like, I don't think the Muppet movies need a remake, to be honest. I think all the remakes they've done have been of, like, I don't know. I think the live action Disney remakes have all been travesties. Like, I can't think of a single good reason other than new source of revenue of why they would need to do live action remakes of any of the Disney movies. That's crazy. Just make new Disney movies. Give us new princesses and new stories and new princes. Don't remake the old ones. And if you're gonna remake them, why aren't you remaking the ones from the 1930s? Like Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty. Why aren't you remaking those? Muppets never need remakes. Okay, yeah, I tend to be there with you. Oh, of all the Disney movies, I meant Treasure Planet Atlantis. I don't know if they need to remake them. Like, I would not be upset if they remade them. I don't know if they need to. I think re-releasing them and like hitting them back in theaters and kind of like reintroducing them to people, I think that is something they could do. Especially since it's been so long. Like, dude, I've been getting so many as soon as I started finding Treasure Planet and Atlantis reels on Instagram and started liking them, I have been inundated with new reels. So like, they're still in the social conscious. They just need to reintroduce them and kind of repopularize them again. And there's a couple different ways that they could have done that. I don't know. I'm not a marketing expert by any means. I just don't know. I don't disagree that maybe a remake would be helpful. I just don't know that it's necessary. I could very well be quite wrong, and I am open to that possibility. But I think they could do something that just like reintroduces them, re-release them into certain theaters, you know, stuff like that. You kind of like reintroduce them somehow and truly celebrate them, right? Like, they definitely did not get their day in the sun, and I think they were definitely cheated of that, which is unfortunate. My favorite hook. Hey Dabs, how are you doing? Good to see you, Caleb. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Okay, 4K remake would be awesome, and re-release in IMAX. I would buy tickets. That would be really cool. The problem with 4K, okay, the problem with upping anything to 4K is depending on how it was filmed. If it was filmed digitally, then the only way they can upscale it is to either re-render it entirely or use AI to re-render it, because upscaling doesn't sharpen anything. It doesn't add more resolution. So if you took something that was filmed or digitally filmed in 180, in 180 by 1080 in 1080, and you upscale it to 4K, it's going to be 4 times as fuzzy, because it's going to be bigger and it's just going to appear kind of fuzzy. You really need to sharpen it. And the only way to sharpen something that was filmed in 1080 is to use AI to resharpen it, which I think is a decent use of AI, but that's why we haven't gotten remastered versions of things like Voyager and Deep Space Nine, where we did get a remaster of the original series, because the original series was filmed on physical film, which effectively has unlimited resolution, whereas later versions of Star Trek, this is completely off topic, or at least in terms of what show we're talking about, but later versions of Star Trek, later series, were filmed digitally in 1080. They're limited to 1080. They can't get bigger. There's no physical film that it contains effectively infinite resolution. So they're stuck unless they can upscale and sharpen it somehow. They could just upscale it, but you're not going to get any of the sharpness. You're not going to get increased definition. They have to sharpen it and add that definition back somehow, and that's probably going to have to be done via AI. Which I think is a decent use of AI. as you know, as many problems as there are with AI. I'm not a fan of generative AI by any means, but large model data analysis, things like that, crunching numbers, finding medical abnormalities, things like that. I'm fine with AI for those, despite their impact on the environment. If we're going to use it, those are decent uses for it. Generative AI, Suno, all these other things, fuck them. Excuse my language. But yeah. You're like, hey, no worries. All right, we've got 5 minutes before the next break. How are y'all feeling? Everybody feeling okay? I don't think we're going to get this done. I'm running out of energy. Thoughts? Everybody doing okay? Anybody see anything I'm missing? Don't think so. Looks good. Thanks. Okay, so I do need to work on the pistol butt here a little bit. He's so close. I'm so warm. I'm so mentally tired. Let's start working on his base. We're gonna do an orangey base again because I think that's gonna look good, and I'm enjoying working on orangey, like Mars type bases. So we're gonna stick with that. We're going to start with mahogany. It's a nice dark red kind of base that's still it's got so much red in it that it'll make the orange look pretty good. Got our tactical rock here. Just color. What colors do you use when painting Blood Angel red? I'll usually use some pretty bright colors. So if I was using Monument, then I would just use mahogany and then burnt red, and then Indian. Well, I'd go up to Pyrrole red, bright Pyrrole red, which is the brightest red that they have. And if I was going to go even higher, I'd probably start mixing in some yellow to create a brighter red that would. I would try to keep it from going too orangey, but it would be pretty difficult to keep it from going orange. I'd try and go with like a sports car-y type of red, which tends to have some orange in it. But those are the colors I would use. I just go with a really strong primary red and shifting up towards orange. I don't think I have a good example of something I've done in red. I should probably do a Blood Angel at some point. Go to bed. What do you mean, Gus? I'm not going to bed yet. I'm not that tuckered out. I'm close, but I'm not that tuckered out. How have you been? You said you were exhausted. I mean, I'm mentally exhausted. I'm mentally pooped. Today was like back-to-back meetings. Like literally back to back to back to back, presentation after presentation after presentation. I am absolutely coat hangered, 100% kushnookered, whatever adjective you want to put in there for absolutely destroyed mentally. It's probably there. It's probably where I am. Yeah, that's how it goes. Sometimes tomorrow I've got like very little going on that's scheduled. Doesn't mean that I won't have anything going on, but I don't have that many customer calls tomorrow. Today was crazy. The reason I'm not a sales rep. It's like, what do you mean? My entire day consists of doing this every day. Nah, I'm good. I am okay. I don't need to be cold calling. I don't need to be interacting direct one-on-one with people every single day for the rest of my working career. I'm okay. Give me a technical problem to solve. Give me a demo to prep for. Give me something to test. I'm good. I'm set. Happy as a clam. Smacked my head pretty good on a gantry a few hours ago, and I've got a lump. No! Do you guys have to wear a hard hat where you work? Probably not, because you smacked your head, but like now it's gonna sit funny if you do. Maybe you should be wearing a hard hat, smacking your head on gantries. Those should know you're not wearing a hard hat. We gotta wait for the base to dry. But then we can, once the base is done and mostly painted, we can start working on the head. Hooray! Yeah, maybe I should. We don't have a need for them most of the time, so this is just a odd situation. I got you. But the odd situations can still kill you. I mean, they're not as likely to kill you as the normal situations, but they could still kill you. I am quite pleased at how far he's come, and I keep forgetting the shoulder pad. So what I'm going to do tonight, because we're not going to paint the shoulder although the runes on the shoulder pad tonight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down with Lexicanum while I'm decompressing and take a look at examples of the runes on the shoulder pad. That way I can I'll start drawing them out, so I'll have like I'll have a set of runes that I know I can paint, and we'll finish that on hopefully Fridays, and then also work on the face on Friday. But I think we're gonna call it here. I am tired. Everybody doing okay? Thank you all so much. Oh, ads are going right now. Shoot. I thought I had another couple minutes. This is how time blindness works, everyone. You don't notice when time passes, or you don't have a good judge of when time passes. This is how time blindness works. It's fun. You should all try it. Don't try it. It's not fun. So I have an alarm for everything. See, I should do that. But theoretically, the Adam Smasher. Hey, thank you. Big fan of your work, except for the fact that you killed Rebecca. Not a fan of that. However, you might be interested in this, because it has directly to do with you, Mr. Smasher. Let me know if you recognize this moment, as it were. Yeah. The moment of my, not my heartbreak, because I didn't like, Rebecca isn't, there's no crush on Rebecca. It's just like sadness and like the death of like a little sister in just the most brutal way possible. Like there's that of like, this is when my little sister died. This is when you killed my little sister. Thank you. The moment the best kid did. Yeah, Well, I mean, honestly, you do look pretty awesome here. So it is separate. You've got separate legs, separate torso, got your missile, got your little missile launcher back here. So this is going to be a diorama at some point. I'm going to recreate that scene in a small diorama with the lighting effects and everything. I'm going to recreate the moment at some point. These are, if anybody's interested in picking these up, these are from Monster Fight Club for their miniatures game Cyberpunk Combat Zone. This is just a kind of a decorative diorama piece. It's not actually got rules in the game, but there is a Warhammer 40K type game for Cyberpunk, and it's called it's called Cyberpunk Combat Zone, and it's pretty freaking cool. It's pretty freaking cool. All right, have a good night, Adam Smasher. Thanks for dropping by. Can you please add a dead Silverhand to the floor in any pose or form? Oh, that's a cool idea. That's a cool idea. Dead Silverhand. Got David's gang and some Max Tack. Nice. I have David's gang and I've got the Danger Gals because like cybernetic. I mean, it's just a bunch of badass cybernetic cat girls, or girls with cat ears. You know, it's pretty cool. Excuse me. It's pretty darn cool. All right, so there's that, and then we can come in here. See how we're gonna need some more pigment. Gonna need to grind some more pigment. So I'm just using a chalk pastel. You can get cheap ones that are from the art store, and just use the back of my X-Acto blade to grind off some orange, and then I'm going to dull that down with some brown because I don't want it too bright, and then I'm going to add in some more reddish ness to it using a little bit of red. And then we can mix this just like we do with any other color, because this is just raw pigment and some basic binder. Binder is basic. Just basic binder. Oh my god. It's so basic. Oh my goodness. Go home. Why don't you want to go home? There we go. Also got Jim Raynor from the StarCraft minis game on the way. Ah, yes! Ah, Jim. Gus, you saw the Jim we painted on stream, right? That was so much fun. I had a good time painting him. I can't... We've got to paint Kerrigan at some point. I've got her put together, too. I'll bring it up. He's... Yeah, he's on my Instagram. I had him here. I gotta find where I put him. He might be in my display case. So you see I'm using this dry pigment to not only matte out the ground, but I'm also using it to add dust and things like that to the feet to help tie the Space Marine into the base more. There's nothing neat and tidy about this. Okay, we're gonna let that dry for a second. And where's Jim? Here's Jim. Here's Jim Raynor. He's a great model to put together. He was a lot of fun. Even did the freehand for the rattlesnake. That was a pain in the rear.
Welcome. Make yourself at home.
That was a pain in the rear, but it looks nice. They didn't really give us a lot of room to put that there. There's not a lot of open space, so you kind of had to just paint over the stuff. Did you do his drone too? No, I just did him. I don't care about his drone. Or I didn't. So I'll probably paint it eventually, but like I was just more interested in painting Jim. And same thing with Kerrigan. We just need to paint Kerrigan. What I am looking to painting her a lot. Not really worrying about her worm. I don't even know if I'll ever play the game. I do have someone at my local shop who's interested in playing, because they played like StarCraft 2 professionally, or for a long time, or they just played a whole bunch. I assume it was semi-professionally, but I could be very wrong. But he's very interested in the game. So we'll see how that goes. Eventually, is my justification too. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're gonna let this guy dry. We really only have to do his shoulder pad with the runes, his face with the darker skin. We are gonna go with darker skin for him, and then black rim the base, and he'll be done. Obviously varnish, stuff like that, but he's almost there, everybody. He's almost there. The Emperor's Spear is almost ready to go kick some booty. But this has been a lot of fun. So we'll hopefully finish him up on Friday. We shall see. Friday is also when we're gonna have the community spotlight. So if you're working on anything and you want to show it off, we do a community spotlight on every Friday that we stream. So feel free to hop into the Discord and post your works in progress in the works in progress section, or the completed projects in the completed project section. I'll send out a reminder on Wednesday on the Discord, tagging everybody. I try not to do that terribly often. Just inviting you to put that there. And if you're looking for feedback, do feel free to ask for feedback. We don't give free feedback that is without someone asking for it. We don't do unsolicited feedback. So if you ever want feedback, please do explicitly ask for it, even if you're just posting normally in the Discord. Otherwise, people are just going to take a look at it and say, dude, that looks awesome. You've been progressing really, really well. Fantastic work. But if you want constructive feedback, we do ask that you ask for it, because unsolicited feedback is just it can stop a lot of people from just posting their work, period, because they're intimidated by the idea of somebody looking at it as like, oh, you should have dry brushed this, or your color combination here isn't that great, and just that unsolicited feedback can prevent a lot of people from posting of stuff they're just proud of. Yeah, maybe they're new, but they have the right to be proud of that and not be intimidated by it, by posting it. So we don't do unsolicited feedback. Ask for feedback if you want it. Otherwise, I'd love to see what work you've been doing, whether it's miniature painting, whether it's any other form of creativity. We've got some people doing fiber arts. Tara, the only mod that I have here on Twitch, she does knitting all the time, as well as some mini painting, but she does knitting and crocheting. And it's awesome to see. She's done some really, really cool stuff. So regardless of what it is, love to see it. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and end here. I am mentally pooped and overheating. And we're going to go ahead and end here. So this is how far we got today. This is the Space Marine, the Emperor's Children, or the Emperor's Spears that we reached. So we are continuing to work on him. Just got a couple more things to do, and then he'll be done. So thank you all so much for being here. We're going to let TikTok and YouTube go first. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Do the thing that keeps you sane. And remember that painting
Welcome to the great library.
is good for the soul. Have a good night, TikTok and YouTube. Oops. All right, Twitch. Let's find someone to raid, shall we?